So hello guys, this is Pradipti again, and I'll be walking you through the basics of Flask in this session. So before going into the practical implementation of Python code to build web application development, first of all, I'll introduce you towards Flask, and then there are some sort of factors which are used for developing a modern application. So it's just 15 to 20 minutes of theory, and then we'll start doing the practical implementation. Hope you are ready for today's session. So let's start the session without any further delay. Actually, this session is purely based on modernizing your web application development. So first we will be building a web application and then we will be modernizing it. Am I right? So in these days, web development is more of an art than a skill, right? So it requires patience, diligence, along with some sort of courage and dedication to create what's necessary for it to be a successful web application. So these days, it is very essential for learners or beginners to get to speed as soon as possible. So here I have come up with this Python class session for the students to get up to the speed and implement simple as well as complex programming using this Python. So let me introduce what actually Flask is to you. Let me present the screen. Basically, Flask is a popular Python framework for developing a web application. And this framework comes with minimal built-in functionalities and also requirements, which is making developers to get started with and build web applications in a very flexible manner. So while developing a web application, the developer who is developing it will have a liberty to customize most of the aspects of the app, including the database integration or accounts and as well as the authentication and so on. So now, first of all, you have to understand what a framework is. Can someone tell me what a framework is? Can someone tell me what a framework is? Do you have any idea of what a framework is, guys? It makes your life easier. It is an editor, debugger. Okay, fine. So to make you understand what a framework is, let me just give you an example. All right. Now, let's say I have given you a large paper and I asked you to cut that paper into 5 by 5 square. All right. So you will need, so what do you need? You will need some sort of basic things like ruler, scissors, and also some sort of, it includes all the in measurements. So with the help of scissors and measurements, you will cut those 5 into 5 square boxes. Now, again, what I asked you to do is, I asked you to cut the same portion of boxes to make 100 squares. Now, what you do, again, you just measure the pieces, again, you use the scale, or again, you use same measurements, or you just use the previously made frame and cut the pieces. Right. So you use already build the frame and you make it for cutting the pieces. Am I right? So this is similar to a framework. So this framework will have all the required setup, which is already done. And what you have to do is you have to just put your logic at a suitable place. So when you want to do lots of things on regular basis, it just consumes time. And this framework will not only save time, it will also provide right components in your application. So whatever the requirements that are used for web applications are bundled in a toolkit, bundled in a tool that is considered as framework. So Flask is a framework which is with which you can leverage your web applications on. All right. Now, this Flask actually works on two entities. One is VMware WSGI as well as template engine. Now, one must understand what this work is. So work is a collection of libraries that can be used to create a web server gateway interface. This is web server gateway interface. Now, what is this web server gateway interface? So web server gateway interface server is necessary for Python web application, since actually our applications will be hosted by web server, right? And your web server cannot communicate with your Python directly. So WSGI will give you an interface between a web server as well as a Python-based web application. So whenever you request your web server to grab some sort of information or to send some sort of information, this WSGI will create an interface. So it's just, can you just consider it as a communication module between your web server as well as your web page. Now let's understand what is this Jinja 2 is. Actually, Python uses Jinja 2 template. So this Jinja 2 template is a Python template engine used to create HTML or XML or other markup formats that are written to the user via a HTTP response. For suppose, whenever we are building n number of applications, for suppose in my applications I have 3 HTML pages. Now I want to have the same sort of beautification or same sort of format in all the 3 applications, right? Now what I do in each and every application, I write styling sheets, or I write styling formats, right? But instead of you writing those many codes, the same codes repeatedly in all the other HTML pages, this Jinja 2 template will create a template structure in which the whole formatting will be put in a single sheet, and that will be commonly used by all the other web applications. So whenever you want to have some sort of beautifications or some sort of formats in your web application, you will be putting all these style sheets and all in a single program. That's what your template engine does. So using this template engine, you will be able to set a basic layout for your web pages. And also, you can also mention what element will change with what sort of format that you use. So this way you can define your properties or headers only once and keep it considered for all over the pages of your website. And if you need to change your header or anything, you'll only have to update it in one place. All right. So using this template engine, you will be saving your time, and also you will save your what you say creativity creativity while updating or maintaining it. All right. So this is the difference. This is what WSGI template engine is. Now, what are the uses? What are the different kinds of frameworks that are given by Python, which is Django, Bottle, CherryPy, Tegan, Pyramid, and Web2Py. So any of the framework can be used to build web application. Like a function, yeah, you can consider that as a function connect, but not appropriately a function. So what you do is you will put all the stylings in one folder, and those stylings will be used for all the web pages that you build. All right. Sayali, if you're not able to see the screen, just log in again. Yes, yes, that's what. It's just an example that I say. All right. So if you want to use same borders, or if you want to use same colors for all the pages that are available in your sheet, so will you write the same code for all the pages? No, right? You put that format in a single CSS file, right? Yes, you can consider that, Umapati. All right. So these are the different kinds of frameworks. Now, you must understand how a web application and the Flask web server are communicated. So this web application and your browser will be communicated with the help of APIs or the request. APIs are nothing but application program interface. For example, if human wants to communicate with each other, if I want to ask something to, for example, if I want to lend a pen from you, what I do, I just communicate with you in a normal language or gestures or anything. But for a software application, there should be some sort of interface, right? So whenever your web server and your Flask application are to be communicated, then you use these APIs, application interface. So in software terminology, APIs are used for communication purpose to exchange the data. All right. So this is how this is how the communication in the Python will work. And there are some sort of benefits for using Flask. Actually, Flask is very easy to learn, and with the help of Flask, you can also implement very large applications. So you have a very good documentation for Flask. So if you want to refer anything, you can have the official documentation which is provided by Flask. And as Python is a very easy language, so Flask also becomes the easy tool for creating the web application. So it also creates routes by decorators. So you'll understand what is this routes by decorators with the practical implementation. So for now, you just understand that whenever you want to route your templates also, you will be using decorators. And in Flask, you would like to import only the right libraries that are suffice for your application. And daily, Flask is being updated with new plugins. Plugins are nothing but the software tools with which you can create beautiful applications. So these are the different important features of Flask. So that's the reason as a beginner, you must understand Flask. And if you understand how a Flask application can be built, so it will be very easy for you to build simple to large applications. All right. Flask is a framework, Abhay. Flask is a framework. Front end, we will be using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap. Back end, we will be using Python framework. I mean, Python program. All right, Abhay? All right. Now, as I told you, as you're building modern applications, you must understand there are some sort of factors that are to be implemented while creating your Flask application. So let's understand what are all those 12 factors. All right. Let me share the screen. So whenever you want to build any modern application, sorry, whenever you want to build any modern application, you must follow these 12 factors. All right. So these 12 factor app can also be, it is a set of 12 principles or best practices for building web applications, which nowadays we are commonly calling them as software as a service applications. Actually, these 12 factor principles are published by the co-founder of the Heroku. His name was Mr. Adam Wiggins, and he has introduced he has introduced this 12 factor app in 2011. So these principles are the result of all the experiences and observations that the people working at Heroku have watched. All right. So they have gained over a large variety of software as a service applications, and they have ever deployed on it. So these principles actually help us to create the applications that use declarative programming for automation of the setup. So which in turn reduces the development time, and the cost of the products when new developer joins it will be reduced. So whenever a new employee joins, he does not rely on any particular OS, and these sort of applications are easily portable. So you can you can work with these apps in any sort of environment, be it Linux or be it Mac or be it Windows. And these are very highly suitable for deploying on cloud. So whenever you are deploying it on cloud, and this is making the uh, minimizing of cost for buying the physical servers. Yes, Radhika, you're right. So let's see what are all the 12 factors that are being introduced by Heroku. The first one is code base. So what he said is single code. There should be a single code base for application, and that should be tracked in a version control with many deploys. So let us break the statement and try to understand the two main terms. One is a code base and also deploys. So in native terms, a code base is nothing but a human written source code that doesn't include the class or object files which are generated by the tools. And coming to the deploy, a deploy refers to a single running instance of a particular application. So single running instance means is nothing but where your application is running. So each application must have only single code database, and each code database must be managed in a version control system. So we have so many version control systems, including Git, Mercurial, and SVN. So if there exists multiple code bases, then your application is not considered as an application, but it is considered as a distributed system. So each component of the system will follow, each component of the system should follow the same code base. All right. So this virtual control system can be considered as a software tool which helps in recording the versions of your apps. Regarding the versions of your apps is like, for example, if you want to create an application, you will have version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, right? So those versions will be changed based on some sort of modifications. Am I right? So all those kinds of modified codes can be stored in your GitHub, and you can manage your previous versions code and present version code in the control system. That is one of the factor. Then the second one is the dependencies. So actually, you have to explicitly declare and isolate the dependencies. So what do you mean by that? So whenever you are writing any program, you might have observed at least for once in your programming career that if you want to download a library for any programming language, for Python or for some other purpose, and then you found that you have downloaded the wrong version. All right. So actually what happens is this Python installation, this kind of mistakes happens because the task of managing the dependencies is given to the developer. So whenever you are trying to build an application and you want to, and if suppose some other people are using your application, they want to work on your application, they must know what are all the dependencies, like what are all the libraries, what are all the files that are using. So what a developer should do is he has to maintain a particular separate file with which he has, in which he has to tell what sort of libraries that he is using for application development with the version. So whenever some other person is using your application, he can directly download the install. He can directly install the installations with the help of those manifest files. So basically, you'll have whenever you have seen in GitHub or any other repositories, you might have seen some sort of requirements.txt or manifest file.txt, right? So all those requirements, all the necessary libraries should be stored in a requirement file. In the same way, config also. So for suppose if you are using any sort of configuration, and that configuration will be used in all the services that you are having. So instead of you configuring it separately in every service, what you do is you create a separate config file, and you make use of that config file to grab the configuration things. All right, so this is what config is. Now coming to the other thing, which is backing services. So if you want to talk in a simple terms, if your application is talking to any service, then that is considered as a backing service. For example, if you are talking to a SendGrid service, then that is a backing service. If you are integrating any AWS or any other service, AWS services or any other service, that is considered as a backing service. So your application must treat these services as resources which it is consuming over the network. So it gives you the advantage that our service become easily interchangeable and offer great portability to our application. So simple example is like, suppose your application is currently using a local SQL database for its operations, and it is afterwards replaced with the one which is hosted on the server of your computer by just changing the URL or by just changing the database credentials. So whatever the service that is connected to your app, that should be defined as a backing app. So Abhay, I'll tell you about it once I'm done with this. All right. Now coming to the build, release, and run. Basically, you have to strictly separate build, run, and this replay state. So whenever you are deploying your application must be properly separated into three non-overlapping, non-dependent phases. So which are namely said as build, release, as well as run. Now, what is this build phase? The build phase is nothing but it constitutes the compilation of the code, which in the which after compiling it will generate a RT craft file. So in Java, a jar file will be created. So there are different kinds of files that will be created once you build your app. Once the building is done, then the second phase is release. So this release phase take that RT craft file generated and adds the configurations for a particular environment to it. So once you are packaging all the things into a single package, your your release stage will add all the configurations to it. Once everything is done, then you have to run your code. That means you will be in the deployment stage where your application will be run. So these should be separately done: building, releasing, as well as the running. All right. And then comes your processes. Execute the application as one or more stateless processes. So an application is said to follow this principle if its instances can be created and destroyed anytime without making any effect on the overall functionality of your application. So to achieve and fulfill this principle, our application must store any type of data generated by it in any persistent stateful database or data store. But it doesn't mean that we cannot use the in-memory of the process of our application. Actually, we can use it to store as a temporary storage. In simple terms, what I can say is the usage of sessions must be avoided. Sessions in simple terms refer to the catching the logged in user session data in local memory of the process and then directing each subsequent request from that particular user to the same process. So the problem with the sticky sessions is that it causes uneven load balancing among the instances of the application. So that's the reason you have to execute your app as one or more stateless processes. And then it is code binding. Any application that follows the principle that follow the principle is like it exports an HTTP request as a service and doesn't require any server like a Tomcat to listen to the request. So it binds itself to some sort of particular port and listens to all the requests hitting on the port. So for example, if you are in Python, mostly you'll be using the 5000 port and all. So you must also have observed it while designing any applications or a microservice which runs on a particular port and you hit request on that particular port using Postman or any other service to get a response, right? So whatever the information to which this port or service will be listening to is also stored in the configuration file itself. All right. So whenever you are working with different kinds of applications, you have to bind all the ports. Now coming to concurrency. Whenever your application is very large, you must divide your application into smaller different processors instead of a single large application. So each such process must be able to start, terminate, and replicate itself independently and at any time. So this principle allows scaling our application very easily. By scaling out, we refer to horizontal scaling in which we run multiple instances of our process. For example, yesterday you have seen like we have opened MySQL, remote MySQL.com service, right? So whenever so many users are like using it, it got an error. Am I right? So your application should horizontally scale your application to run your instances in different processes. That is what concurrency is, so that it serves the purpose. So even though there is scaling, your application should actually serve the purpose. All right. Next, coming to disposability. So disposability is nothing but while in a monolithic architecture, what I said yesterday was, for suppose if any of the service, actually in monolithic architecture, everything are interdependent, right? If suppose any bug or memory leak happened in the in one service, or it is down due to maintenance, it is affecting the other services as well. All right. But the modern application, you should have most robustness. That means even though one of the services got down, that should not affect the other two services running in your application. All right, so that is what disposability is. And then coming to development and production parity. So what is this development and production parity? It simply means that the development as well as production environment will be similar or should be similar. The reason is, if suppose you are developing your application in Windows environment and you want to deploy it in Linux environment, then there will be a clash of dependencies. Maybe you will be getting so many errors if you use different platforms for production and deployment. So it's better to use same deployment, same environment for deployment as well as the development or production is nothing but making the web application available for the users, the end users. And then next comes your logs. So your application should treat your logs as an event stream. Okay, so you should create a log file, and whatever the logs that your application have, those all to be stored in the file. For example, you can maintain the performance of your application with the help of logs. So have you ever seen that whenever you are running a software and it suddenly crashes, a pop-up a pop-up displays that the issues with this system are stored in the log file. Have you ever seen that? So in the same way, all that logs should be stored. So you have to create a separate log file for that, the modern application. And then is nothing but admin processor. Okay. So most of the applications require a few to one task to be executed before the actual flow of the application starts. For example, I have an application, and that application is like registering of some sort of student or so. Now, basically what I do is, it's just an example, guys. So basically what I do is, like, for 15 days, for every 15 days, what I do is I will just back up the database data. So what actually a modern application do is, such kind of backupping should be done continuously, and it should run that task without any havoc. Instead of a manual approach, it should be done by your application itself. This is one of the example of the admin process. So what you do is, you will be writing a script for that. So that script will help you to run the admin management task. All right. And then, so we are done with all these 12 factors. So these are the 12 factors that you have to implement in developing a web application. So hope you have understood what the 12 factors, right? So if you have any doubts, we'll clear your doubts, and then we'll move on to the practicals. All right. So if you have any doubts in 12 factors, you can ask me. Any doubts? Okay, development and production. All right. So development is nothing but developing your code, or for example, I'm developing a Flask application. Okay. Now I am using a Flask application. I'm using my Windows environment for development. Okay. Now my development is done, building is done, testing is done. My app is working very fine. Now what I want to do is, I want to deploy on any of the system for the production. Production means you're making it live. All right. So whenever you're deploying your app, whatever the dependencies that you're using for deployment, those gets installed on your deployment state. All right. So if suppose you use different systems, different environments, For suppose you use Windows and deploy it in Linux, or for suppose you use Linux and deploy it in Windows. That is not accepted. That is not a feasible idea, because whatever the errors that you get while deploying while developing your application in the same environment, the same issues will be triggered, and you can actually work out with those errors if the environments are same. All right. Yes, Kishore, you're right. All right, pipe port binding. Okay. For suppose I have written three different codes for my application, and I want to make them run on a single port. I don't want to make them run on different ports like 5080, 80, or 1990. So what I do is I'll bind all the ports so that each and every app will be binded towards such a single port that I've declared. All right, guys, these are the 12 factors. And can you explain backend services once again? Okay, fine. So backing services are nothing but any of the third party services that you are using. All right. For suppose if you are using SendGrid to send a notification, that becomes a backing server. Or if suppose you're using any other third party server, then that becomes a backing server. So all these things should be considered as the attached resources, but not the services. So whenever you want to interchange any sort of services, for suppose today you are using SQL, tomorrow you can use the attached resource which has the same sort of similarity. That's what backing services is. All right, guys. Yeah, WSGI is Web Server Gateway Interface. Fine. So my Python programming is over here. All right. Now my application is running over here. Now the data should be communicated with my app and the Python. So there should be an interface that is nothing but called as your WSGI, Web Service Gateway Interface. Soumya will tell again in the last 5 minutes, because we are running of time and we have to actually implement all the Flask basics practically, right? So I'll just move forward with practical implementation. All right. So let's get started, guys. Please open your Spider or any of the environment. So Flask also Flask also provides so many sort of authentication types like database authentication types, OpenID authentication types, auth zero auth authentication type, and auth 2. So all these kind of authentication types will be there. So with the help of those authentications, then you can make your Flask app secure. So guys, as a Spider is a heavy app, so it will take time to load. I'll just give few minutes of time so that you can load the application. So before that, if suppose people are using Anaconda prompt, or people are using Anaconda, then you don't need to explicitly install Flask. If suppose you're not using Anaconda, but you're using any other software like PyCharm or Python IDE, for VS Code also, please open command prompt, Windows R, type CMD, click Windows R, type CMD, enter. If you are launching Spider from Anaconda, then you don't need to explicitly download or install Flask. If suppose you have separately installed Spider, then you have to follow the same procedure. Windows R, whether it is VS Code or PyCharm or Python IDE, please open Windows R. Click on type pip install Flask. Pip install Flask. Pip install Flask and click on enter. Again, I'm telling you, open command prompt. For Anaconda, no need of you explicitly downloading or installing the Flask library, Sandhya. No need, no need, no need. So whenever you open Spider, it shows a pop-up to click on guide or so. Please do not do that. Please do not do that. Just close that pop-up. So have you opened the Hemant? Is this recording live, Hemant? Hemant, are you there? Devansh, it's better you join Zoom. So what you do is you just, it will be very difficult to navigate through two sections. What you can do is from tomorrow, please join the meeting in any other system and do practicals in other system. For suppose if you have any phone or so, join the meeting in phone and then come back to do the practicals in the PC. For now, you have to navigate the systems here, and for now, you have to navigate from here and there. Just type Windows tab. That gets navigated to other window. No need of installing Kite. Whenever you open Spider, you will get a pop-up. Just ignore it. If you install Anaconda, Spider will be directly launched. If you don't know how to open Spider, please type Spider and the Spider environment, the Spider will be shown. Click on that. If you're using Anaconda prompt, no need to explicitly install Flask. Yes, it is okay, Muhammad. That's okay. That's okay. Not an issue, Ambarish. Muskan, if you are good at good at using the tool VS, yes, you can. You can use it. Yes, Pavan, you can learn it perfectly. After you have installed Anaconda, no need Kishore. Guys, please, I'll just start the session. Akash Darshi, I'll just give you a link for that. Please wait. So try install Flask, INSTALL in the terminal. Yeah, I'm starting the session. So first, let's write the first program in Flask. All right. Let's write the first program in Flask. Let me hope the font is visible, everyone. All right. Right. Now, first I'll write the code and then I'll explain the code. All right. I'll first write the code and then I'll explain the code. First, you have to import the Flask from Flask import Flask. From Flask import Flask. Just see the spellings case. Then create a constructor for that, which is app is equal to Flask of underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Yes, I'll just type the code and I just put the code in the chat window. And after every session, I'll be uploading the codes in the GitHub and I'll be sharing you the GitHub. You just created a constructor for that. After creating a constructor, you will be creating a route. After installing Anaconda, please search for Spider and launch Spider. Please search Spider and launch Spider. Yes. So this is the constructor. So whenever you are running the application, running the Flask application, first of all, this constructor will be called. And once that, you have to return create a route at the rate app.route at the rate app.route of, just give a slash. I'll tell you what is this slash is. Slash and define a function. Def a function. Let me call it as hello underscore world. Create a function for it and return hello world. Return hello world. So here, after writing this, whenever your constructor is called, whenever your constructor is initialized, is equal to underscore underscore main underscore underscore app dot run. App dot run. So now let's see what are we doing in this code. Here, first we are importing the Flask legacy. For now, just take a text editor. Just take a text editor, write the code, and just save it as .py extension. From Flask, import Flask. So first you are importing the Flask library. So this is a WSGI application. Now after that, you are creating the constructor that takes the name of the current model. So the name of the current model is app. Whenever your app is routed towards this binding URL, this is nothing but called as, so this syntax can be written as app dot route of rule comma options. Rule comma options. Now what do you understand this rule? So the first one is rule and the second one is option. The rule parameter represents the binding URL with the function. So you'll understand this within few minutes. All right. This rule will represent the binding URL that is associated with the function that is written. Option is nothing but the list of parameters that you would like to send with the help of this binding URL. So we'll also see how rules and options will also be written in the app.route. Now you are returning a function. I mean, you are calling a function which is hello underscore world, and it is returning the statement hello world. All right. Now, whenever this happens, whenever it comes to the main function, actually this is the main function. So whenever you run your app, this is app.run. Whenever you run your app will be run in the local host. All right, in the web browser. This app.run will actually make your application run in the web browser. So in that web browser, whenever you route to / then hello world will be returned. Then hello world will be written. So whenever you are running the app, your application will be running in the local host. So whenever you bind this URL, hello world will be written onto the web server, I mean the browser, web browser. So let me first run the code, then you'll understand. Please save it, Control S, and let me save it on the desktop or anything. Let me save it on desktop. I'm saving it on desktop, and I am giving it as my first application. My first, or else first app. Save it on desktop. I'll tell you, Varsha. While we are running this, you'll understand what is this route is, okay? Yes, Bharat. Yes, Bharat Raj. All right. Have you done with the function, guys? Yes, I'm putting this code in the chat window. Everyone can copy and paste it. Just put the browser, just click the browser, Control S, then a pop-up window will be shown. For example, let me save it again. A pop-up will be shown. There, select the desktop, give the name as first app and save it. All right, once you save it, now let us run this code through command prompt. This is the main function. So in C, you will be writing void main, right? So this is the main function, and you have to write your main function in this manner. Whenever your your name, I mean your constructor is running your, I mean you are in the main function, then run it. All right. Now open Anaconda prompt or command prompt. Go to the desktop, cd space. If you want to change the directory, for example, your code is on desktop, right? Your code is on desktop, am I right? Your code is on desktop. So open your desktop, copy this path. So the whole path you have to copy actually. So I'm unable to get the whole path, but you have to copy the whole path and put cd space, paste the path. Cd space, paste the path. So once, so it's show, if it is showing no module name Flask, then that means your Flask is not yet downloaded. So if you're using command prompt, just type pip install Flask. That's it. Again, I'm telling guys, open your file. So that is in your desktop, right? Copy this, copy this. Okay, you're using PyCharm, then you have to install it. Open command prompt and install Flask. Pip install Flask. Maybe you have written a wrong syntax. Shraddha, just see. Guys, I'm showing file, save as, save it in the desktop and give the name as first step. Save it. Once that is done, now go to the file. Your file will be on desktop, right? Go to the file, copy the path, and put cd is equal to, I mean, put cd space and paste the path. Put cd space, the path. All right. Now you will be on your desktop. Now what you have to do is Python space first app dot py. Python space first app dot py. Whenever you implement this code, then your app will be running on the local host. So if you see HTTP 127.0.0.5000, your code will be running over here. Now go to the browser and just type localhost is to 5000. Now whenever you enter, hello world is being triggered. Now whenever you entered, hello world will be triggered. All right. So now here you have written binding URL, right? This is what binding URL is. Whenever your app is running on the local browser, it creates a link. Let's suppose it is a localhost link. Now, whenever you type that is nothing but this slash. Whenever you type that link, that is localhost is to 5000, this will get returned. This will get returned. So that's what has happened in our local host, which is the web browser. So have you seen the output? Abhay, I didn't understand you. You don't have Python. Okay. If Python is not recognized, that means you have not added the path to Python. What you didn't understand, just let me know. I'll explain it again, Pandey. I mean, Abhay. After saving your code, I'll just tell you how do we add Python. Okay, so I'll just write the steps, guys, so that you can understand. Let me take a notepad. First, you have to write your code in any of the IDE. And then you have to run your code through command prompt. All right, you have to run through command prompt. So first what I have done is I have opened my Spider. Step 1, open any IDE. Step 2, write the code. Step 3, run the code. To run the code, go to the file where you have saved. Copy the path of your saved file. Open command prompt. Type Python space Python code, Python file name. In our context, our Python file name is Python space first app.py. So these are all the steps that you have to follow. Every time the same thing, guys. Okay, Saminathan, that means maybe you have explicitly downloaded, I mean, in Anaconda, your Flask maybe not be installed. So open Anaconda prompt and install Flask, pip install Flask. The system cannot find the path specified is like you have given a wrong path. Just see it. So have you seen the output, guys? Open Anaconda prompt. Open Anaconda prompt. If suppose your app is working fine with command prompt, then that is fine, Shraddha. Yes, Python files are to be run through the command prompt. Two. So whenever your app is running, it creates a URL. Okay. It creates a local URL. Now, this is the URL http 127.0.0.1 is to 5000. Instead of writing 127.0.0, you can directly write it as localhost. Localhost is to 5000. So whenever you run it, that hello world will be showed on the screen. So here, what we have done is, it's not just single underscore Bhargavi, it is double underscore, double underscore. Guys, if you are getting Python was not found, please open C drive. I'm showing, please open C drive. Please open C drive. Go to the Python, go to the Python. Inside that, you will have bin file, or you just copy this. You just copy this path. You just copy this path. Go to environment variables. Go to environment variables. Open this environment variables. Click on the path and add your path. That's it. Click on OK. You have to add the path of your Python. The default port for Flask is 5000, Raghu. Right. So now that's okay. Warnings will be showcased, guys, not an issue. Okay. So whenever the app is running, your app will be running on your local host. So the port that your app will be running is like 5000. So go to the web browser, type localhost is to 5000. Now click on enter. So whatever the code that you have written, that will be written over here. It's Yavish Abhay. As this is the first time, it may be difficult, but as you move on, then it will be simpler for you. The default port for Python is 5000. So Krishna Raj, if you are getting the file not, I mean the Flask is not found, please install Flask again. Your app works on Python. The framework has built in such a way that it should work on port 5000. Yes, yes, Jay Prakash. So it's just a warning, not an issue, guys. Yes, you can put it. I'll tell it. I'll tell regarding it, Stephen. Shakunta Venkat, please install Flask. So guys, I'm writing the steps of how to add the path. Open C, navigate to the Python folder, copy the path of Python folder, copy the path of Python folder, open environment variables, paste the, edit the path, paste your copied path. So go to C. If suppose it is not there in C, you will have it in program files, or you'll have it in some other files. Just check it. Yes, Tariq, you can do that by working through VS Code. Write the code, save the code with .py extension, open Anaconda prompt and run the code. Open Anaconda prompt, run the code and see the output. All right. So this is the single. So have you seen the output, guys, everyone? Have you seen the output? So majority of us, majority have seen that. Then Hemant, are you there? So I'm putting all these steps in the chat window. Yes. Now let's move further, guys. So I'm explaining you again. Whenever your app is running, so you have named your app, right? App. So whenever you're calling your constructor, and I mean, whenever the constructor is called, you'll be running your app. Whenever your app is running, it creates a web browser URL. So if you navigate to web browser URL, which is localhost 5000, then that means you're routing to, the URL. So whenever the URL is routed, then this hello world is being showcased. 5000 Ruban. If it is like that, please open command prompt and install pip install Flask Ambarish. All right. Now what I do is here, instead of slash, I'll just give it as hello. Instead of slash, I'll just give it as hello, and I'll just change it as hello. Welcome to SmartBridge. Welcome to SmartBridge. Now run the code. Now save the code. Control S. Go to command prompt. Go to command prompt. Go to command prompt. Stop the execution and run the code again. Because we have done some sort of modification, right? We have done some sort of modification, right? So that will not be saved automatically. So you have to stop the execution. In order to stop the execution, click Control C. Click Control C. Control C 2 times. Click Control. Put your cursor on the terminal. Click Control C. Control C, and again type Python space first tab dot py. Now again your app will be running on the browser. Now just type localhost 5000. It gives an error. The requested URL was not found on the server. The reason is you have created a binding URL which is hello. You have created a binding URL which is a hello. So whenever you are redirecting or routing to this, then this will be showcased. Now instead of localhost 5000, what you do is slash hello. Put slash hello. Now just execute this. Now you can see hello, welcome to SmartBridge. That's okay, Sriman, not an issue. So have you seen the output? So if suppose you're using you're just go to youtube.com. This is just like pressing localhost 5000. All right. Now whenever you click on any other thing, then an other bound not this. Whenever you click on YouTube, and then I want to just click on this. So if you see, there is another binding URL which is coming to your main URL. Am I right? Which is coming to the main URL. So here YouTube is getting routed to this page. So whatever the content that is on that page, that will be delivered. If suppose if you open this one, again, this URL will be changed. So you can create n number of binding URLs. So you can route n number of web applications or n number of HTML pages. Now did you understand what this route is? Now did you understand what this route is, guys? Have you understood what this route is? Yes. Now, here whenever I am doing some sort of changes, yes, it is, yes, that's what, Rona. All right. Whenever you change any sort of modifications, you have to stop it and again you have to run it. That's what this means. Whenever your app is routing towards this URL, then execute the function which is given below. That's what we are doing here. Whenever your app is routing towards this URL, whatever the function that is being declared, that should be run. All right. Now previous URL will not run because I have removed it, right? All right. Now, every time I change the code, I have to stop it and again I have to run it. Am I right? Instead of that, I can put something called debug is equal to true. Debug is equal to true. Debug is equal to true. Have you put this binding URL, Sai Shri? No, just below the URL, Akash. Whatever the function that is below the URL, that gets executed. If I need the previous URL for suppose, you have to create. I'll tell you, Sri Harsha, just wait. So have you understood this app.route and the function? Now, whenever I do some sort of changes to my code, I am first supposed to stop my thing and again I have to run. To remove or to overcome that, we write something called debug is equal to true. That means whenever your app is running, you can do any sort of modifications and that modifications will be applied to the web browser as well. Those modifications will be applied to the web browser as well. Now, hi Divya, can you hear me? Hello? Who's this? Can I know who's this? Can I know who this is? Sorry, someone is disturbing the class. Hi Divya. Who's this? Can I know? Yes, Ashwin. Yes, I'll show you that also, right? Now what I do is, so I have done debug is equal to true, right? Now go to your app. Yeah, good evening, Divya. Can you hear me? Divya, there is something which is like, now what I do is go to your Python first, run the code. Now what? Now just check the output. Localhost hello. Localhost is to 5000 com/hello. Now just execute this. You can see something is getting redirected. Now I want to change some sort of code. Now I want to create another route. The other route is app@app.route of, and I'm creating another binding URL which is user, and I'm defining a function def user, and make sure the functions are not same. Make sure the function names are not same. Written hello, written hello user, written hello user. Now just Control S, Now go to the browser, just refresh it. And type /user. Type /user. User is not there. Sorry, I didn't save and run it. Now go to the command prompt, type /user. Can you see? Hello user has been created. Is returned. Have you seen the output, guys? Now, did you understand what this debug is equal to true is? Have you understood what this debug is equal to true is? All right. So first, suppose I just removed it. Okay. First, suppose I just removed it. Yes. That's right. Yes. First, suppose I removed debug is equal to true. Now I've run the code. Okay. Now I'm going to the browser. It's fine. It's working fine. User. This is hello. Everything is working fine. Am I right? Yes. But I want to change some modifications here. Instead of hello user, what I say is, hey, hi, how do you do? Save it, go to the browser and just refresh it. Just refresh it. That modification has not been seen. So just type /user. That modification is not seen. Before, whatever I have used, that only is being showcased. The reason is you're not allowing debugging functionality to the app. So that's the reason. So if you want to see this modification, what you have to do is you have to first stop the running app by clicking on Control C. Now type Python space firstapp.py, enter it, then go to the browser, click on this. Now you can see, hey, hi, how do you do? So every time you have to stop. So what is the error that you're getting, Devansh? Every time you have to stop the execution and then you have to run it. Instead of that, what I do is I'll just put debug is equal to true. Debug is equal to true. Now just execute this. Now let me, now I'm just running it. So you can just open your browser, localhost user. So you can see the modified one. Now I want to modify something else. Hello, welcome to SmartBridge. I'll just remove it. Hey, hi, how are you doing? Hey, hi, how are you doing? Control S. Now just go to the browser, click on hello. You can see. Didn't I save the debug is equal to true? Hello. Sorry. Localhost 5000, comma, hello. You can see the modified functionality. Hi, how are you doing? Now, what I do is I'll just add another route. App.route, just a single slash. Then def home written this is home page. As I am writing debug is equal to true, I no need to stop the server again. Just Control S, go to the browser. Now just type localhost 5000. It says this is home page. /user, it says hi, how do you? /hello, it says hey, hi, how are you doing? All right. So slash is nothing but it's just the localhost is to 5000. / something is you're binding towards that URL. All right. Now I said rule as well as options, right? So here I've just created the rule. So have you guys understood till here, guys? How do you work with routes, everyone? How do you work with routes? Have you understood? Is it clear? That's really good. That's awesome, guys. Now let's see what are these options are. Okay. Let's see. You understood but not getting the output. What is the problem, Nanashri? Now, Pratima, once we are moving towards the HTML pages, then you can add the styling sheet to it. But as these are basics, I'm not into yet that. So we'll also do that as well. All right, Pratima? Through console. Yeah, you can also run the app through console if you put debug is equal to false, not true. Whenever you put debug is equal to true, you have to run the code only through the Anaconda prompt. So make sure if you want to run it, make sure it is false. And every time you modify, you have to stop the functionality and you have to rerun it. Oh, DLL is missing. That means DLL is not there, Darsha. So you have to uninstall everything and install the new another PyCharm instead of Anaconda. All right. Fine. Now let's see what is this options are. All right. I'm unable to put debug is equal to true. It's simple, right? So if it is Python is not recognized as internal or external command, you have to add the path Mithali. Yes, yes, Amol, that is true. Initially, debug will be false. Right. Now let's see. I want to add some other argument to this. Okay. So this is my home page, and now I want to add some other argument, which is / in tags. In tags, I'm writing it as name. In tags, I am writing it as name. First, I'll write the code and then I'll explain you. All right. First, I'll write the code and then I'll explain you. I've written it as name. And now here I am passing this name to this function. NAME. Passing this name to this function. Now here, what I am writing is hello percentile S percentile name. So first we'll execute this and I'll explain you what it is. Okay. Now here also I want to give it as user, and I am passing the same user over here, and here hello written hello user percentile S, and here I'll write percentile user. All right. Fine. Now I've written this. Just let me execute this and I'll tell you what is happening. All right. Now go to the browser. Here, what I'm doing is if I just type /hello, it says the URL not found. The reason is to this binding URL hello, I am writing something else. I'm writing something else. That is nothing but you have to add a parameter /Pradipti. Let's suppose I add Pradipti as a parameter. It says Hello Pradeep. Now I go to user. Hello. Instead of Pradeep, instead of hello, I'll just go to user. User slash Pradeep. Execute this. Now you can see hello user Pradeep. So here what you are doing is you are taking some of the parameters from the web browser. Some of the parameters from the web browser. You cannot take this as the user input. So if suppose you use raw input or input, that means you are taking the input from the user. But here you are taking that parameter and that parameter is sent to the function. So whenever a parameter is sent, I mean, whenever this URL is called, the parameter is sent to the function, and whatever the parameter that you're passing, that will be stored over here. So this parameter is nothing but the function parameter. Can you please repeat it, Kirtana? You can call that like that. It is a parameter which is being passed through the function that we have created, Stephen. All right. Yes, I'll put all the code in the chat. I'll repeat it again, Neeraj. Let me. Actually, why percentile S is whenever you take user input, whenever you take any sort of input from the browser, that will be in a string format. So this is the format specifier. For suppose it is an int, then you have to put it as slash percentile D, and int of the called parameter. All right. All right, guys. So have you understood this? Yeah, you can also hello name. Written, actually in written format, you cannot use those debug. If it is a print function, then you can use it. It's a written, right? There are keywords that are not to be used over here as a variable. So whatever the keywords that you have, you should not pass those keywords. That's it. So have you ever worked with C? Whenever you're printing any statements, what you do? You just say print of percentile D, comma percentile D. What do you mean by this? You're printing the, for example, you say ampersand A, comma ampersand B, ampersand A, comma ampersand B, comma percentile D, comma percentile D space percentile D, right? This is the syntax that you use, right? So here, whatever the value that you are showing here, that will be whatever the, I mean, here you are writing as percentile name, right? So this will be binding towards this and that gets printed. All right, guys. No, you can use anything. So here, let me type it as anything. It's a user defined, not name. Let me say value. Let me say count. Anything. That is a user defined thing. All right. Now I'm just scrolling. I'm just saving it. Again, I'm running it. So here user space Pradeep. So actually I'll get an error. The reason is here I've used the value and I have to pass this value over here. And whatever the value that I got, I should be printing over here. That's the reason I got the error, guys. Here also, this is count. You change that to count and make it as count. Control S. Samhita, if it is a print statement, you can use concatenations. So if you want to use a string, for example, A is equal to hello plus value plus welcome to SmartBridge. Now here you can just return A. All right, Samhita, did you understand? You cannot concatenate strings in the written function, written value. The reason is you might have not used debug. Debug is equal to true. Sorry, I have not seen that F before your statement, so that's the reason I said it will not work. So you have put a bracket to it, then of course you can. All right, now this is fine, right? Now, I'll just tell you guys, I'll just tell you if you want to give any integer or anything, let me show you, okay? Now, if I want to use any sort of integers or so, okay, so here what I do is, instead of I converting here, what I do is I'll just put int is to value. Int is to value. Int is to value. Then here in the written statement, you can write it as number space percentile D, comma, percentile value. All right. So did you understand, Jagadishwari? Now, go here. So what is the hello, right? Hello slash hello and give it as 20. Now just execute this. Type error. I'm sorry. Okay, fine. I got an error, so my app got stopped working. Yes, by then it is a default string, Neeraj. Now go to the browser and just select it as 20. Let me check this. Yeah, the reason why I didn't get is I have mentioned some sort of spaces here. All right. I have mentioned some sort of spaces. So now did you understand regarding this route, this one, and these naming parameters? If you have any doubt, just let me know. I'll just again tell again. Debug is equal to true will make you to do some sort of modifications even when your app is running, guys. Okay. Yes. So I'm just summarizing it in the steps, guys. So actually, app dot route just slash indicates app dot route slash indicates that you are navigating to local host is to 5000. All right. @app.route of slash any string. That means you are binding towards localhost is to 5000 slash any string. So this string could be anything like name, user, admin, anything. 5000, not 500, it's 5000. And coming to the other one, app.route of the binding URL. Let's suppose binding URL is name, and you are passing any parameter. This is nothing but localhost slash is to 5000 is slash name slash parameter. This parameter can be worked as, can be treated as an argument to the function presiding the route. Understood, guys? So now did you understand? Did you understand? Now, if you want to send the parameters of your own, yes, the parameter, whatever you are taking, that will be taken as a string itself. That will be taken as a string itself. So if you want to give your own IDs or anything, then you must give it as int is to, or float is to, something like that. And you should never separate these things with a space. And the parameter name in the URL and the parameter that you are sending into the function should be the same. Yes, Darsh. True. Yes, yes. So even though, and suppose guys, remember while writing the code and while running, make sure you look at your Anaconda prompt. Sometimes there will be some sort of errors and your program will stop abruptly. So make sure you see command prompt while you're running the codes. All right. So whenever the code has error, that gets stopped. And if you do any sort of modifications, you will get the output as your browser is not there. You don't have any sort of URL which is written in this format. Everything. So have you understood the basics, guys, till here? Did you understand till here? That is what our WSGI comes into the picture. So you have, I already told you, right? Flask works with workswork. So this workswork will create the interface between your Python application as well as the web browser. So whenever there is any request from the web browser, that WSGI, web browser gateway interface, will communicate with the URL, and whatever the function that is presiding that URL will be executed. Sure, Sri Harsha, I'll send. Darsha, will it be work? I didn't see the previous thing. Can you please tell again? Now, let's work with another thing, which is URL for. So we have worked with this one, the other kind of routing your URL and other kind of routing URL with parameters, right? Now let's works with, yes, Sharon, I'll also tell how you take input from a web browser. That means web page. Just will will go with the flow and then we'll create an HTML page, all right? We'll take break at 7, Ronak. All right. So now let's understand what is URL for. URL for. URL underscore for. So first, let me write the. Okay, Chetan. So if you want to take any int parameter, instead of just passing a parameter name, give some sort of database name in this way. So if you know Python dictionaries, so you have to give this in the form of dictionaries. All right, Chetan. So whenever you go to this browser and click, whenever you go to the browser and type hello user 45, executed. So that number will be 240. All right, Chetan. Muhammad, I'll also tell how to add hyperlinks and everything. Now, let's go to the other statement, which is URL for. So actually, you should first import the library redirect, comma, URL underscore for. Fine. So let me show you what this is. All right. Now, what I do is here, I'll just remove everything. I'm just removing everything, and I'm creating new routes, guys. I'm creating new routes. Just 5 minutes, Sandeep. At 7, I'll be giving it. After I complete this, app dot route of admin. App.route.admin. Now define a function def hello underscore admin. Hello underscore admin. Return hello admin. Yes. Now once that's done, what I'm doing is I'm writing another route. App dot route of guest slash, I'm giving a parameter which is GUEST. First, I'll write the code and I'll explain you guys. Def hello, def hello underscore guest of guest and guest written hello percentile s guest percentile guest. All right. Now I am creating another route at the rate app dot route. Sorry, something happened. At the rate app dot route of user slash, I'm giving something called name. I'm passing a parameter. All right. Now here what I am checking is I am using some sort of if conditions. If name is equal to admin. If name is equal to admin, return redirect of URL underscore for hello underscore admin. Hello underscore admin. Else return redirect of URL underscore for hello underscore guest. Now, if you have already one second, hello underscore guest, comma, guest is equal to name. All right. Now, if you have already understood the basics, can someone tell me what I have written here? Can someone tell me what I have written here? It's not use it, it is user. Can someone tell me what I have written here? What is the error that I have? App.route. That's really good, guys. That's fine. So whenever I type localhost hyphen user and I type this as admin, then you are redirecting the URL to this function. Else, hello guest function will be executed. Yes, that's really good. That's really good, guys. So you're understanding it, right? Where is the error? What is the error? Okay, sorry. I've given a column here. Yes. So now let's see this, all right? So what are all the routes that we have? One is admin. So once we are done with this example, we will go for break case. So once we type localhost admin, hello admin will be generated. Once we type localhost guest comma guest name, then the guest name will be generated. Sorry, I've not created a function here. Oops, there. Hello underscore user. I'm really sorry for that. I've not created a function here. Now let's see the output and then we'll take the break. All right, guys. Yes. Now I'm just sharing the code. Put it in your code base. Send it. Now let's see. First, I'll type hello admin. Let's see first my app is working or not. Yes, my app is working. That's really fine. Now go here. So, and you have to save the code as well. If you don't save the code, then those modifications will not alter in the web application. So now what I do is localhost 5000 / admin. Now just execute this. Hello admin. Now I just say localhost 5000 / user guest, I guess, guest hyphen SmartBridge. Execute this. So hello SmartBridge guest. Now what I do is user admin. Now when I type this URL, what is the output that I get, guys? What is the output that I get? What is the output I get whenever my name is admin? Yeah, hello admin will be generated. Now go to this. Sorry, I have not written the written statement. admin. Now go back to the browser. Execute this. Now, hello admin. Now let's see. Say Pradeepti. Now, what is the function that will get executed? What is the function that will get executed, guys? Guest function. Sorry, there should be user in between. I didn't save my code. So if you don't save the code, those modifications will not be done over here. So hello, Pradeepti, guest. Yes, Nikhil, I'll just explain you again. So here, what I am routing is, so here I'll explain in the notepad, guys. So what I have written is, I have created 3 routes, all right? One route is app.route of /admin. Now, whenever I execute this, whenever I say local host 5000 /admin, /admin, then my output will be hello admin. All right. Now I have written another route, app.route user, and here get guest, and I've given some sort of naming convention here. Let's suppose the name that I am, okay, name. Let's suppose this is name, okay? Now, whenever I type localhost 5000 /Pradeepti, guest /Pradeepti. Yes, Sharon, I'll just send it. Then it says, hello, Pradeepti, guest. This is another one. Now, I have written another route, @app.route of user / any name. If local host is to 5000 /user /admin. If I give admin, then hello admin will be printed because we are redirecting the URL to hello admin. If not, hello Pradeepti guest will be printed. Have you understood the code now, Nikhil? So you are redirecting the URL. Whenever the name that you given is admin, then that gets rerouted to the guest URL, otherwise the user URL. Now let me share the code. So I've shared it. So guys, now did you understand what this redirect URL is for? Yes? Actually, I've not yet created any GitHub link, Manish. So I'll just, you have to first create the, first import the redirect Ram Kiran. So here you have seen, right? Redirect, you have to import it. All right, so let's take a break for 5 more minutes and then we'll come. Then we'll come back. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. No, actually, this is a binding URL, right? Actually, we call it as binding URL, am I right? So they have created those 2 functionalities. Redirect is you're redirecting something, but what is it? Where are you redirecting it? So whatever the URL that is executing the hello admin function. Whatever the URL, this is actually considered as a URL, right? So whenever you're typing this in the browser, these are nothing but considered as URLs. If suppose facebook.com, it is a URL. youtube.com. That is a URL. All right, Kaushik. So it says whatever the function that is binding the URL, you're redirecting to that URL. All right, Kaushik, did you understand? I've used this to make you understand the purpose of URL for. You can directly use the same thing, not an issue, but I'm making you understand what are all these things mean. It is not going to the last route for an interactive web app. It will be a lot of, yes, Akash, you have to create lots of app.routes. Sometimes you can also use URL for, and you can also use Jinja template by creating your, for example, URL for, and like this you can use /admin or /something. All right. Yes, Richie, I'll show you how to, next after break, I'll show you how to create a web page and integrate it with the Flask. All right. You have to follow the ruling convention that only one function should be presiding the app.route. You cannot declare more number of functions. That is the name, that is the convention, rule convention for Python. After break, we'll just create a basic Python code, basic HTML code, and we'll integrate it with the application. All right, guys. Sanjay, I'm not aware of it. I'll just let you know, right? Sai Sanjeevan, the same. After editing the code, it's showing 404. So Sudashmita, just check your Anaconda prompt whether your app is working or not. Okay, Chetan, not Chetan, Harshavardhan, see whether this path you have copied is fine, correct or not. Whenever the path is wrong, then you'll get that error. You can join at 7:15, or you can be in the chat, be in the meeting, and you can ask me doubts. Sorry, Rakesh, how come user route is executed when we type guest or admin? Sorry, whenever you reroute to guest, only guest function will be redirected. So that will not become vice versa. Maybe there is some misfunctioning in your code. Just look at it. All right, Amrita. Okay, fine. So, for suppose, let's see. I'm telling how to redirect to the file. First, suppose I have my file on desktop. All right. So I have to go to C first. All right. Desktop means that will be in your C drive itself, right? After that, go to the desktop. So if you open any of the folder, your desktop will be open. Open that desktop, copy the path which is given over here, copy the path. Yeah, just copy the path and paste it over here. Or first suppose you have your code in D drive. In that D drive, you have something called Pradeepti folder. In that Pradeepti folder, you have your first app. Okay. What you have to do is, first of all, this is in C drive. You have to change to D. Just type D : execute this. After that, CD space Pradeepti. cd space Pradeepti. Actually, it is not there. So that's the reason it says the system cannot find the path. Then you can type Python space something. And I'm getting an error on. What is the error, Pathan? Yeah, you're welcome. Abhay, did you understand? All right. What you can do is, guys. So go to your desktop. So you have your first app, right? Right click on it. Go to properties. And copy the path from here. Go to properties, copy the path from here. And cd space control V. That's it. All right. Understood, guys? This is also another way to name error. Redirect is not defined. Divya, have you imported redirect? Yes, you can use it, Kriti. I'll tell you how to use two parameters in a function. All right. Yeah, Pathan, have you imported redirect? If you have imported, then 7. It's still 8. Jagadishwari. I'm not aware of it, Janani. We'll let you know. All right. We'll let you know regarding that. Yes, Abhay, you can talk to me. I'll be on Telegram. You can talk to me. My name is Pradeepti Daggaraju. Pradeepti Daggaraju, Abhay. So guys, it's already 7:15. Shall I start the session back? Or should I wait? Hello admin, if we put admin, does it make any difference? One second. Please wait guys. Someone asked a question. Sorry. Django has its own pros and cons, and Python Flask also has its own pros and cons. So of course, Flask is really good for beginners, but you can also build large applications with the help of Flask, Ashwin. Devansh, sorry, I cannot repeat the whole thing. As the session will be uploaded to YouTube, please work on it. Now I'm getting this Python was not found. Run without arguments. Varsha, the reason, not Varsha, something. Ma'am, in the code we are passing the parameter, then we are defining a function for it. My doubt is instead of using a function name, if you just if you just put admin, does it make any difference? No, actually, you are just routing the URL, right? So after routing the URL, you should have some sort of functionality, am I right? So such sort of functionality should be defined over here. It's just routing the URL. You are just giving the URL name. That's it. You're not asking Python to do any sort of work. I'll tell you, Deepak, I have a normal dependence file for that. I'll just send it to you. So please give me your email ID. I'll just send the reference file. All right. So that you can understand how do you stream it. Vishwa, the reason is your Flask is not installed properly. Uninstall it and install it. You cannot call more than 2 functions for a route. You should only call 1 function for a route. Yeah, it can be same, Dheeraj. All right, Deepak78194@gmail.com. Fine, Deepak. No, you can write it as admin as well, not an issue. All right. So guys, we are back. So now let's work with HTML. How to create HTML pages and how to use that HTML page to the browser. All right. Yes, I'm pasting the code on it, Chetan. All right, guys. Now let's move forward. So here, what I want to do is I want to create an HTML page. I want to create an HTML page, and whenever I type localhost is to 5000, then I would like to return my HTML page on browser. All right. Whenever I type localhost 5000, I want to return HTML page on my browser. Now, to work with HTML pages, you should follow a templating. You should follow template, some sort of template. What is that template? Let me show you. First, you have to create a folder on your computer. Yes, Sriram, that the immediate function will be executed. That's what I said. You have to create a folder. In that folder, you should have two things. One is templates folder and your Python file. You should have templates folder as well as Python file. Now, under templates folder, you should have HTML pages. Under templates folder, you should have HTML pages. You can have n number of HTML pages. You can have n number of HTML pages. All right, guys. Did you understand what I said? Whenever you are working, yeah, for CSS, if you want to type, if you want to put any sort of CSS files and so, in static folder, you should have a CSS folder. You should have a .css styling file. Sandeep, can you please post the Telegram URL over here? So have you understood the template, guys? How you have to structure your folder if you use Flask? Templates. Yes. So now first create a folder. Now let's create a folder on the desktop itself. New. Create a folder. In a static itself, you'll have JS script Kriti. No. Just put that file again, because if we overwrite it, then the code what we have written before will be erased, right? Yes, they are case sensitive, Yash. Sure, I'll share it in the Zoom itself. I cannot send the file in this Zoom, guys. Anyhow, I'll put that file in the GitHub and I'll share it to you. All right. Fine. So now let's create a basic folder. Create a folder. and name it as Flask. Rename. Name it as Flask. Now open that folder. Open that folder. Create a new folder which is templates. Create a new folder which is templates. Open Flask. Everything will be stored in the static folder itself. But right now we are not working with static, CSS. Tomorrow we'll work with it. But for now, please create the templates folder itself. Make sure you give the proper name. Otherwise, your Flask cannot understand what you've written. Templates. Next, create a Python file here. All right. So you can create Python file with the help of any of the editors that you're using. All right. Now, file, new file. Let's write HTML page. Let's write HTML code here. All right. Let's write HTML code here. Guys, are you ready with creating the URL and all? Yes. So here we will also have some sort of concepts regarding API. So I told about API, right? Application interface with, APIs which are used for communication between your software tools. So now this concept will also come into the picture. All right. So first, let's create a HTML page. So let me just HTML, open your HTML tag, open your body tag. Now I am creating a form. So if you are very much familiar with HTML, then you will understand what this form node is, right? So form is where you will write all your, you'll write all your input fields and everything in a single tag. Am I right? So form action is equal to slash login. I'll tell you what is this login within few minutes. Login, and I'll also tell what this method is. Method is equal to post. Method is equal to post. Now close the form action button. Now just put the paragraph tag, enter name. Close your paragraph tag. After this, P input hyphen type is equal to text. Input type is equal to text. I'll explain everything, guys, but please please be patient. Name is equal to, let me put it as MM, and close the paragraph tag, the input tag as well as the parameter tag. Thank you, Aditya. Now copy the same thing, put it over here. Control V, input type is equal to the submit. Submit. Instead of name, you put it as value is equal to submit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Not seen that? Yes. All right. Now, after that, enter, close your form, close your body, as well as close your HTML tag. Right. Now, after form or before form, I would like to just say the ypred or y is equal to b. So I'll tell you what are all these things. Now, save it and put it in the templates folder that you've created. Desktop. Go to the Flask folder. Inside Flask folder, put it in the index.html. And here, save type as all files. So I'm creating index.html. Save it. Save. So I've created an HTML file. Now, let me open that file. All right. Whenever I open that my HTML file, it gets loaded here. Right. Now, what I do is I just write Pradeep. And whenever I click on submit, so I have written y is equal to b. Oh, sorry, this should be y inside. Inside this, you should have y. All right. Now, let me open the file again. Let me open the file again. So whenever I open this index file, now whenever I type Pradipti and click on submit, that should be reflected over here. That should get reflected over here. So whenever I am submitting it, you can see it is navigating to the URL which is c/login. Have you seen this? c/login. That is what we have written here. So whenever your submit button is pressed, then please execute the URL/login. Please execute the URL/login. You should have basic understanding regarding HTML, Shobna. So this form button, so this action form is nothing but a tag where you can write all your fields that are available for the web application that you want to put. No need, Deepak, not at all for this application. This is just the basic HTML application, right? So no need. I'll tell you, Jagdishwari. Right? Now, here, what we are doing, you are making to enter some sort of values, am I right? Whatever the value that you have entered, that will be stored in the variable nm. That will be stored in the variable nm. So first suppose, just opened it. If I type Pradipti here, if I type Pradipti here, then that Pradipti will be stored in the variable nm. Okay. And after storing this nm, I can submit the button. Once I submit the button, that gets redirected to the /login function. So this /login URL should be implemented in the Python code. Amrita, once I'm done with this, again, I'll explain you. Okay, I'm in a flow, right? So in that login function, if you want to access this variables, then you have to access with the help of post request itself. You have to access it with the help of post request. So now I hope you have understood the HTML page and what we are doing it, right? What we are doing in it, in this, right? Yes. Yes. Now let's write the Python code. All right. Now click on File, New File. Just import Flask. From Flask, import Flask. From Flask, import Flask. Yes, you have to save your HTML in type. Yeah. So I told you, right, Sharana, whatever the input that I have given, that should be printed in the space of Y. So I'll tell you what is that Y. Okay. You'll understand once we complete Python program. Thank you, Venkatesh. Import Flask. All right. After that, you have to import the Flask, and then you should also use render template. Render underscore template. I'll tell you what is render underscore template, comma, request, comma, request. Once this is done, now let's create a route which will load your HTML file. So now app dot route. So first you have to create your app also, right? App is equal to Flask, Flask in the constructor underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Now after that, give app dot route at the rate app dot route, and let me give the normal without any URL. I'll just give a normal slash. Then def function name is like home, def home, return render underscore template of index.html. Index.html. So index.html should be in the quotations. So what you're writing is, before we have rendered a static string, right? Now you are rendering the HTML page that you have created, right? Are you understanding, guys? Now, let's first run the code. Let's first run the code. So if I'm just writing the main function, name underscore underscore is equal to underscore underscore main underscore underscore, then app dot run of debug is equal to true. Put T in caps. Execute this. I mean, save it. Where you have to save that in the Flask folder that you've created. Let me save it as app.py. App.py. All right. Good. Now go to the command prompt. Here I have created. So if you want to go to the app, so inside Flask you have your file name, right? Right click on this. Right click on this. Properties. Go to this path. Copy the path. Copy the path. Copy the path. CD space. Paste it over here. Now just execute this. Now run Python space app.py. Python space app.py. Now just execute this. Sorry. Cannot import. It's not request, it's request. Yes, I'll share it. One second. I'll just execute the code and I'll just save it, share it here. We'll share it, people. Yeah. Now your app is running on the local host. Now go to the browser. So I'm just closing it. All right. Now what I do is I'll just say localhost 5000. So have you seen this? Now my web page is rendered. Did you see this, guys? So what I have written here is, you know all these things. This is like you are creating your constructor. That means you are naming your web app. Here what I'm doing is, whenever you type in localhost 5000, then you are rendering your index.html. Your index.html. All right. Now let's see what happens. Now I'll just type Pradeepti. Now I'll just submit it. Now it's going to localhost login. In Python code, I have not written anything called /login. Yes, right? So whenever you have some sort of URL in this way, then this will work. So what I do is, now I'll create a route for that. So @app dot. Yes, you have to save @app dot route of /login. Now you have to write the functionality here. Def, you can give the same function name, login. Now app.route/login. Now here you have to put another thing, which is methods is equal to post in the caps. So let me here why I'm writing post request is, in the index.html, what I have written is, whatever the content that you're retrieving from the app should be happen only through the post request. So there are HTTP protocols which are used for API requests. So whenever there are client and server kind of systems, your client will request the server with the help of with the help of these post and get requests. Ginger to explain, template not found. The reason is, either the spelling of the folder would be wrong, or you have not put your HTML page in the templates folder. Post and get, you can use both the things, post or get. Here I am using post. All right. Anything you can use. Now here I am making it as methods is equal to post. A humble request from. Now what I am doing here is, like, if suppose request dot method is equal to post. So as we have given the request as post, we are just checking it. It's just checking, okay? If request dot method is equal to post, then I am creating a variable which is user is equal to request dot form. So why I'm writing form? In the HTML page, you have created a form tag. From that form tag, what I am getting is form of NM. So I told you, whatever the text that you type in here, that will be stored in the NM, right? So that's the reason I am requesting NM. Control S. Now, after I get that, what I do is return render underscore template of index.html, comma, y is equal to user. So in index.html, I have created a variable y. To that y, I am storing the accessed parameter. Now just execute this. Now run it. Go to the command prompt whether it's and check whether the app is running fine or not. Now go to the browser. Now just type localhost 5000. Give the name as Pradeepti. Now submit it. You can see the Pradeepti is rendering over here. In the same way, SmartBridge. Submit it. It is getting directed over here. See here, localhost 5000 login. The URL, we are triggering the URL. Whenever the URL is triggered, to what function it will get, to what function it gets redirected? To this function itself, right, Deepak? Yes, I'm sharing it. All right, Harini, I'll just explain you, but showing the error, import error can, it's not request, it's request, Sadashmita. Just remove S from that, that's it. Yes, yes, I'll write it in the steps. So now let me write the steps now. Let me write the steps, guys. First, index.html. Yes, you can use web scraping with the help of Flask. Actually, I've not yet created the GitHub account, Abhay. Once the session is done, I'll create it and I'll upload all the files to it. All right, Abhay? Index.html. First, what I've written is, I have created a form tag. In that form tag, I have used input, text input, and declared a variable that stores the value coming from text input. All right. After that, I have used submit button. Now, when I enter any name and click on submit, it redirects to /login URL. This will be written in Python. And I have written a variable y which stores the text input data, which displays the, not stores, displays the text input data. See whether the folder name is template. You can write URL for, you can write any sort of variables in it, right? I'll also tell you what are all the kind. I'll show you. I'll just share a link in what way you can use Jinja template, Stephen. All right. Once this is done, I'm writing Python code. Now in this Python code, first of all, in order to make user enter the input, first of all, you have to render the template, right? So first what I've written is, I've created an app.route of this one. And whenever user types localhost is to 5000, then HTML page will be rendered. Once you type in your name, submit it. So it is going to /login, right? So now you don't have a /login file in the app, right? So that's the reason what I am creating is, I'm creating app.route of /log. Here, what I'm doing is I am grabbing the data which is entered in text input on HTML page and showcasing it on Y. All right, guys. So have you understood the steps? Is it clear, guys, everyone? Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear? Are you able to see the output? How many of you have executed this and have seen the output? Now, a task for you. A task for you. Create a form. Y represent the, so here I see here I have created some sort of variable which is Y. Now, this displays the information that you pass onto this variable. It shows error at line. Maybe see the error that is triggering on line 9, Murugan. So the task is, guys, I want you to yes, I didn't yet repeat the task. I didn't yet tell the task. Create a HTML page. Create a HTML page where use 4 text inboxes. One for name, other for qualification, name, qualification, other for age, other for email, let's suppose. All right. After you create all these 4 inboxes, just create a submit button. And in the Python code, I want you to grab all the 4 all the information and display it on HTML page. Do it, guys. Just 10 minutes of time. Do it and let me know. Now, if anyone has any other doubts, you can ask me. So have you understood the task, guys? Immutable multi-dict object is not callable. See the code, Murugan, Pallavi. Yes, this is the Python code. Do we have a feedback URL for today's session, Jay?
Yes, we do have. I'll be sharing it.
Okay, actually, participants are asking. Tariq, I didn't yet create a GitHub link. So I'll just create it. I'll upload it and tomorrow I'll give it. Yes, Python file must be inside the Flask folder, and template and the index.html file should be inside the templates folder. Can you please share the Telegram link over here? Sharna Reddy, this is the task. Create an HTML page where use 4 text inboxes for name, qualification, age, email, and 1 button which is submit. Grab the information in Python code and showcase it on the HTML page. Because it shows error online, see, I just copy this code and paste it in your IDE. Copy the code and paste it in your IDE and check whether you have implemented the syntax error or anything. Yes, Nidhi. Yes, I'll show you the output screen. Kriti. This is just a basic HTML page, guys. All right. Yes, it is possible to upload today's session in YouTube, Sandhya. We'll try to make it, but buffer should, but by 10 tomorrow you'll have all the videos. Akash Gupta, this means you have not put your index.html page in templates. Please repeat the file structure. All right. So your file structure should be like this. Folder. If you have any styling sheets, you have to put it in statics.css. How to concatenate string variables. So in the task Vaidehi, Vadivel, are you talking about how do you concatenate in the task that I've given? All right. So here what you do is just cap user B is equal to something. All right. C is equal to something. D is equal to something. Then afterward, create another variable E is equal to A plus give a space or comma plus B plus give a space or comma plus C plus give a space plus D and return E over here. That's it. Understood very well? Okay, fine. The reason might be you're not copying the whole code. Fine. So here, iterate app.route. Please change to app.route. So that is missing, guys. So that's the reason you are getting errors. Not, sorry, not here. @app.route / login methods is equal to post. So this is the error, I guess. So someone has written it. Who's this? Deepak. That's really good, Deepak. No, I just gave an example to concatenate the different strings for Vaideval, Kaushik. That's really good, Anjana. Good, Deepak. Good, Anjana. Oh, you have used different URLs for different names. That's good. Okay, the method is not allowed. If you see that kind of, once again. Yeah, so that means either you have not written post in the index.html or you have not written that in the app.py. If you don't write it, then you'll get that error. Yes, Yash, I'm sending the corrected code. All right, if you want to save the file, save as. Save as and save it in any of the folder that you want. All right. That's really good, Soumya. And if you want to run the Python code, yes, Rakesh, tell you. First, suppose you want to run the code which is Python, okay? This is app.py you want to run. If you want to run this app.py file, now please right click on it, copy the path, properties, copy the path. If it is on desktop, copy the path, paste it in the command prompt, cd space, paste it on the command prompt, and click on enter. Ma'am, if you want to give next line, in the sense, yeah, you can use break. And you can also, yeah, actually, whenever you use division class, div, if you are very much familiar with HTML, if you use div, division class, then you can align your HTML code. So if you want to align it in the center, put it as align is equal to center. And if you want to have any sort of lining space, you can use br. How the route is understanding the following function, whatever it is being created, it is for the particular routing. Can you please ask the question again? So what I have understood is like, whatever the function that is written under the function, that will get executed when you navigate to the URL. That's what your question, right, Varsha? That's what your question? Yes, that is correct, Varsha. Your Python code, it shows request is not defined. You actually, request is defined. If it is not defined, please import that request. Then I'm asking for output to display output username, mail. Okay, fine. I'll just show you. Wait. That's really good, Anmol. Soumya, I'll get back to you once I'm done with the other questions. Like people are not, I mean, there are some people who didn't execute the code, right? Once I'll serve them and then I'll come to you, okay? Shivlingan, the reason is your HTML page is not in the templates folder. So Kriti, if you see here, your app.py folder should be in the folder that you've created. Your Python file, templates folder, and static folder should be in the folder. Your index.html should be in the templates folder. If you see my folder structure, I have created a folder called Flask. Excuse me. If you see, I've created templates and I've created an app. These two are in the Flask folder. Yes, Perumal, I'll just put that task in the chat window. Can you paste the task that needs to be done? I was collecting my so lost track. Okay, fine. So I've not written the whole structure of the task. This is the task. Can you please repeat the question? Why? Why is? Why B is used? Can you please repeat the question? Someone asked a question. I just missed that question. B is bold. B is bold. P is paragraph. BR is break. Have you typed a render HTML page? Y is equal to user. So you have to store this user in Y variable. What is the error, Rakesh? Can you please tell me? Main should be underscore underscore main underscore. This is the main function. What do you understand by void main? So for Python, we use the format of if underscore underscore main is equal to main function. All right. So here you are creating a special variable which is underscore name, right? String concatenation shows inconsistent use of tabs and spaces. That means you have not concatenated string in a proper way. Please check it. And it is showing this error. Elap methods have to be iterable of strings, for example. Okay, fine. So if you're giving any other characters other than string, then that error might occur. Okay, fine. So whenever you want to, actually you are creating this braces so that your machine or the Python code will understand that this is a variable that is to be replaced with some value that you have provided. All right. So if you just give y over here, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Whenever you put this templating, this is the templating, I mean format templating. So if you use this, it will understand that there should be a value that should be placed on this, right? Yes, I'll show it, Pooja. So it's already done, guys. It's 8. So I would like to wrap up the session. First, what I did is I just went to local was 5,000. Let's see whether my app is running or not. My app is not running. Let me run my app. Python space app.py. It's just the variable name, Jai Vignesh. So in the HTML code, what I have written is whatever the text that you enter, that should be stored in the variable, which is nm. You can also use A, B, C, something like that. But now I just used it as nm. That's it. How to up to how many arguments in the sense like how many routes you can create n number of routes to render your templates. You also copy my HTML page, Varsha. Now go to localhost 5000. Love methods. Okay, fine, fine. 1 second. Even I'm getting the error. Let me check. Am I getting this error? Yes, yes. I am done with the session. I'm done with the session before task itself, but I didn't tell the students regarding it as I am solving their queries. I'm really sorry, guys. I was keeping on talking. Thank you so much for being in the session for more than 3 hours, guys. I hope you had a very great learning, and I appreciate your enthusiasm for learning new concepts. And I request to maintain the same enthusiasm till the end of your sessions. Thank you so much. Have a great day and happy Ugadi to all. Sorry, I'm wishing the last. Happy Ugadi, happy Bihu, happy all the other festival names in different languages. Fine, guys, I am ending the session. Thank you so much. From tomorrow, I'll give the homework, Amol. As it is just second day, I don't want to spoil your holiday. I mean, actually, it's a festival, right? So from tomorrow, I'll be giving you the homework. All right? Thank you all.